People who run so fast that they believe they are living, but in truth, they are only running away. Running from silence, running from emotions, running from themselves. And sometimes the price of not knowing how to stop is not losing money, but losing the very thing most worth holding on to. Tonight, this is the story of a man who once conquered an entire city with speed and then lost a whole lifetime, simply because he failed to stop for a single moment. In the city of Xave, people knew Tint Sin the way one knows a sharp blade: fast, precise, and cold. He was a powerful merchant, owner of a 3-story house, warehouses filled with silk and spices. Contracts signed under his hand often ended in heavy silence, because his counterparts understood they had just lost a game whose rules they had not even realized yet. Tint Sin was not cruel in a loud way. He was cruel in a logical way. He said, "This world waits for no one. To stop is to die." He lived by that sentence. He walked fast, he spoke fast, he decided fast, and he forced everyone else to run at his pace. His workers feared him. His wife was exhausted by him. His son, Ananda, grew up in a house that had everything, except one thing: a father who knew how to sit down. Once, Ananda ran to the gate and hugged his father's leg. "Can you stay home with me for one afternoon?" Tint Sin patted his son's head, his eyes still fixed on the cargo wagons outside. When the work is done. When the work is done was a promise that never arrived. The day Ananda fell seriously ill, Tint Sin was negotiating a major silk deal. When a servant rushed in with the news, he only frowned. "Call a physician. I'm busy." He did not say it because he hated his son. He said it because he believed everything could be solved with money and power. And in his world, being busy was always a strong enough reason to postpone anything. That night, he entered his son's room. Ananda lay thin, his eyes dim, his breath hot and shallow. His wife sat beside the bed, her hands clasped tightly, as if trying to hold on to something slipping away. Ananda woke and looked at his father for a long time. "Father, why are you always in such a hurry?" Tint Sin froze. The question was thin as a thread, yet it cut deeply. He wanted to say, "I'm worried about you. I'm doing this for the family. I can't stop." But every sentence sounded like knocking on a locked door. Ananda smiled, a weak smile. "If you stopped, would you lose anything?" Tint Sin did not answer. 3 days later, Ananda died. No miracle, no second chance. Just one morning, the physician lowered his head, his wife collapsed, and the room became empty in a way nothing could fill. Tint Sin stood there, and for the first time in his life, he did not know what to do next. Because all the things he was good at, bargaining, controlling, calculating, were useless against one simple truth. There are things in life that, if you are late by even a single moment, are lost forever. The funeral passed. People came in crowds. Condolences piled up. But Tint Sin heard everything as if it were wind. He returned to his ledgers. He worked more, as if the busier he became, the less he would hurt. But the busier he was, the more exhausted he grew. Every night, he heard his son's voice in his head. "Father, would you lose anything?" One day, standing in the warehouse, staring at stacks of silk piled like walls, he suddenly understood. There was nothing here that could be exchanged for one more day with his son. That bitterness knocked him down, not physically, but in faith. The next morning, he disappeared. No letter, no farewell. He thought he was searching for peace. In truth, he was searching for a place where memories could not catch up. In the early days, he traveled like a hunted man. His legs ached, his throat dry, but his mind was the most exhausted of all. He blamed himself, then defended himself, then blamed himself again. He hated weakness, yet the more he hated it, the stronger it became. Until one noon in a sparse forest he collapsed, not from hunger, but because his body forced him to do something he was unfamiliar with, to stop. He sat leaning against a tree. No one demanded strength from him. No one waited for him to make a decision. Only the sound of wind, leaves, and his own breathing. At first, the silence made him uncomfortable. But then within that silence, he heard something he had never clearly heard before, the truth in his own heart. He remembered Ananda. And this time, he did not push the memory away. Tears fell. He was surprised. Crying did not kill him. It only made him less of a pretender. From that day on, he practiced one small thing. Before doing anything, he stopped for a single beat. Just one beat. But it was enough to let him see the consequences. At the end of the dry season, he arrived at a village by a river. The village was poor, but peaceful. until the name of the village chief Satna was mentioned. Satna controlled the rice storage and the trade boats. He lent grain at high interest. Those who could not repay lost their land. Those without land sold their labor. Those who could not sell their labor sold their children. One afternoon, villagers gathered in the chief's yard. A poor man named Maha knelt on the ground, clutching his daughter Lena. Satna said coldly, "If you can't repay, hand over the land. No land, then hand over the child." Lena stood behind her father, eyes wide with fear, unable even to cry. The crowd watched, sympathetic yet silent. Debt and fear often walked together. Tenzin stood at the edge. He looked at the scene and saw himself again, an old version of himself, who once called cruelty law. He wanted to turn away. The instinct for safety pulled him back. But then he remembered his son's question. He stopped for one beat. In that beat, he understood. If he stayed silent today, he would carry that silence to his grave. He stepped forward. "Give them one more season. I will work to repay the interest." The yard fell silent. Satna narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" "Just someone passing through." Satna sneered. "Then keep passing through. Don't teach me how to run my village." Tenzin did not argue for victory. He spoke slowly. "A child should not be a commodity." Satna looked at him as if he were a disease. In the end, he agreed, but set a condition. "If you run, I take the girl." Tenzin nodded. He knew he had just stepped into trouble, but this time he accepted it. Because this trouble, at least, was pointed in the right direction. From that day on, Tenzin worked in the rice storage, at the docks, any job available. The villagers began to respect him. And that was exactly what made Satna uncomfortable. One night, rice was stolen from the storage. The next morning, Satna gathered the villagers and pointed straight at Tenzin. A stranger arrives and the rice disappears. What a coincidence. He ordered the hut to be searched. And, by chance, a sack of rice fell out from a torn blanket. The crowd murmured. Eyes shifted. The fragile trust that had just begun to grow was trampled. Tenzin looked at the rice and understood immediately. A trap. In the past, he would have exploded. He would have shouted, rallied allies, turned the situation into a war to win. But he did not return to his old life, where every reaction created more karma. He stopped, then said calmly, "That is not mine." Satna laughed. "It was in your hut. If you want to punish me, then punish me, but I will not accept what is not mine." Satna had him tied up and locked away overnight. In the dark hut, his hands hurt from the rope, yet his mind, strangely, was not chaotic. He understood, honor can be dragged through the mud, but if the heart is not dirty, the mud does not cling. The next morning, Lena ran to the chief's yard, crying, "He didn't steal. He helped my father. He gave me bread. He is repaying my debt. If someone must be punished, punish me." An old man stepped forward, his voice hoarse. "I saw the chief's men walking around the storage last night." The crowd wavered. Truth is not always strong, but when many fragments appear together, it gains weight. Satna switched to threats. "Anyone who defends him loses their grain loans." The crowd hesitated. Fear crept back. Tenzin looked at everyone and said, "I don't want anyone to suffer because of me. If you want to punish me, do it. But please don't use debt to silence those who speak the truth." He did not shout. He did not attack. He simply placed a mirror before the village. And the mirror made people uncomfortable. Finally, a young man, the same one who had once blocked Tenzin's path, stepped forward. I also saw the chief's men. The trap collapsed. Satna had to release him. But in his eyes was something dark, not anger at losing, but anger that the villagers were beginning to realize they could stand upright. Tenzin walked out of the hut. No triumph, no satisfaction, just a quiet breath. He understood one more thing. True beauty comes from a compassionate heart, because it gives others the courage to live rightly, even just a little. The rainy season arrived. One night, the river rose in fury. The village flooded. Houses collapsed. Cries and calls cut through the rain. In chaos, people revealed themselves quickly. Some grabbed rice and ran. Some locked their doors. Some ignored neighbors crying for help. Satna rushed to the rice storage, clutching the keys as if clutching his life. Tenzin stood in the rain, facing two directions, back to his hut to save himself, or toward the water to save others. He stopped for one beat. He remembered Ananda. Then he ran forward. He pulled Maha and Lena to higher ground. Turned back to save an old woman who slipped. The water was freezing, cutting into his skin. Once he was almost dragged away by the current, but villagers pulled him back. A boy was trapped on a branch. No one dared to go. The current was too strong. Tingsin gasped for breath, stopped for one beat, then plunged in. He pulled the boy to safety. That night, no one called him a hero, because they knew he could have truly died. Only one truth remained. Every action creates karma. And that night, he chose to plant good seeds instead of seeds of fear. After the flood, a stranger arrived in the village. A merchant's robe, eyes bearing an old scar. He called out, Tingsin. The old name fell like a shadow. The man was Kiran, a small merchant from Zave whom Tingsin had once driven into bankruptcy. His family had fallen apart. His wife left. His child died of hunger and illness. It all began with one signature from Tingsin. Kiran drew a knife. The villagers panicked. Lena cried. Maha shouted. Tingsin stood still. He did not run. He did not beg. He stopped, his deepest stop, then spoke very slowly. I do not ask you to forget. I only ask you, do not let one more action bind you to suffering. Kiran screamed. Do you know what I lost? I cannot give it back. Tingsin replied. I can only accept that karma. If you strike me, I accept it. If you kill me, I accept it. But if you kill me, you will carry me with you forever. Kiran trembled. The knife shook. Tingsin looked straight at him. I lost my child too. The words fell like stone. Kiran froze. Then the knife slipped from his hand. He broke down, crying like a man completely exhausted. No one spoke. Because there are moments when all words are unnecessary. Kiran turned away, his shoulders shaking. Before leaving, he said softly, If I had met you earlier, perhaps I would not have become the man I am today. Tingsin bowed his head. A long and old cycle of karma was cut, not by blood, but by stopping at the right moment. From then on, Satna lost his power in the quietest way possible. The villagers were no longer afraid. They built a shared granary, took turns guarding it, helped each other repay debts. No one shouted about overthrow. They simply stopped bowing. Tingsin remained under the sala tree. He worked, ate just enough, and spoke little. One afternoon, the young man who had once challenged him asked, What do you gain by stopping? Tingsin looked at the river, at children running along the bank, Lena among them. A life without having to apologize for the moments you failed to stop. The young man fell silent. The wind moved through the leaves. Everything was ordinary. But that ordinariness sometimes is the miracle. And in that small riverside village, from then on, before every burst of anger, every sharp word, every decision of pride, people began to do one small thing, to stop for a single beat. No one called it enlightenment. They simply knew, if they did not stop, they would create another cycle of suffering. If this story touched you, try one small thing tonight. Before anger, before reacting, before deciding, stop for just one beat. And if you wish, I will continue telling other stories, just as quiet but deeper, about how human beings step out of suffering through very small choices. Simply leave a sign, one word, stop, and follow the series so you won't miss the next episode.